There is a fence post standing somewhere in the Appalachian Hills that has outlived 3 generations. The barn it once supported is gone. The original farmer is long buried. The wire has been replaced twice, but the post remains. Gray, cracked on the surface, hard as bone. Hit it with a hammer and it does not thud, it clacks. There's an old mountain saying, plant a stone and a black locust post in the same hole. When the stone rots, replace the post. It sounds like folklore. It sounds exaggerated. It isn't. Meet Robinia pseudoacacia, black locust. Before pressure-treated lumber, before copper azole baths, before chemically infused pine flooded the market, this tree was the gold standard of durability in North America. Farmers didn't need marketing labels or warranties. They had experience. They knew that if you cut a locust post, sharpened one end, and drove it into wet soil, it would still be solid decades later. Today, we buy pressure-treated pine rated for 10 to 15 years in the ground. It turns gray, it checks, it softens at the base. Eventually, you can kick it apart. Black locust doesn't soften, it calcifies. And here's the paradox. This tree grows so aggressively, it's considered invasive in many regions. It spreads by root suckers. It colonizes poor soil. It thrives in disturbed land. It is tough, fast, and stubborn. So why can't you walk into a big box hardware store and buy black locust fence posts? If it's harder than oak, if it resists rot without chemicals, if it grows quickly and fixes its own nitrogen, why did we abandon it? Because modern industry values uniformity and speed. Black locust values neither. This wood is dense enough to bend nails. Dry logs can throw sparks under a chainsaw. Sawmill blades dull faster cutting it. It refuses to grow in polite straight lines like plantation pine. It fights back. But if your goal isn't speed, if your goal is longevity, this tree might be the closest thing to forever wood that North America produces naturally. In this deep dive, we're opening the garden lore vault to examine the physics, chemistry, and controversy behind black locust. We'll look at why it's harder than many commercial hardwoods, how it manufactures its own antifungal defense system, why the timber industry quietly moved away from it, and what makes it both a permaculture hero and a landowner's headache. Because this tree sits at a fascinating crossroads, a sustainable building material, a nitrogen-fixing soil improver, a livestock hazard, an invasive colonizer. It is both relic and rebel, and it raises a bigger question about how we define progress. Did we replace it because it failed, or because it didn't fit our system? Let's start with the numbers. When people describe wood as hard, they usually mean it feels solid. But wood science measures hardness with something called the Janka scale. The Janka rating measures how much force it takes to embed a steel ball halfway into the wood. The higher the number, the more resistance the wood offers. Here's where things get interesting. Pressure-treated pine typically measures around 690 on the Janka scale. White oak comes in around 1360. Red oak is in a similar range. Black locust, around 1700. That places it significantly above oak in hardness. And hardness isn't just about bragging rights. It translates directly into dent resistance, wear resistance, and structural durability. If you try to hammer a nail into a seasoned black locust board without pre-drilling, the nail will often bend. Not because the nail is weak, but because the wood is that dense. Chainsaw operators know this wood differently. Cut into a dry locust log, and you may see small flashes of sparks. The density and silica content, combined with friction from the chain, can produce visible flashes. It's not the wood burning in a dramatic sense, it's mechanical friction meeting extreme resistance. In practical terms, that means this wood dulls tools quickly. Modern sawmills are optimized for speed. Straight pine logs go in, uniform boards come out.
Blades stay sharp longer, production remains predictable. Black Locust disrupts that rhythm. Its density increases cutting resistance. Its grain can be interlocked and irregular. It stresses equipment. Processing takes longer. But from a structural standpoint, that density is an advantage. Black Locust has exceptional crushing strength and bending resistance. Pound for pound, it competes with or exceeds many commercially favored hardwoods. Historically, it was used for shipbuilding tree nails, foundation pins, railroad ties, and agricultural posts, not because it was trendy, but because it worked. And here's another overlooked detail. It grows fast. Unlike slow-growing hardwoods that take decades to reach harvest size, Black Locust can reach usable dimensions relatively quickly, especially in full sun. It is also a nitrogen fixer, meaning it partners with soil bacteria to convert atmospheric nitrogen into usable nutrients. In simple terms, it fertilizes itself. Fast growth is often associated with soft wood. Pine grows fast and stays relatively soft. Black Locust breaks that assumption. It grows aggressively and still produces extremely dense, durable heartwood. That combination is rare. High hardness, rapid growth, natural rot resistance, no chemical treatment required. On paper, it looks like the ultimate sustainable timber. But numbers alone don't explain durability underground. Hard wood can still rot. Density doesn't automatically mean decay resistance. To understand why a black locust post can sit in wet soil for half a century without disintegrating, we need to move from physics to chemistry. Because the real secret isn't just how hard it is, it's what's inside it.
Hardness alone does not explain longevity. There are dense woods that still decay quickly when buried in wet soil. Moisture, fungi, insects, these are relentless forces. If wood contains digestible sugars and starches, decay organisms will find them. Black locust doesn't just resist rot because it is dense. It resists rot because it is chemically armed. As Robinia pseudoacacia matures, something remarkable happens inside the trunk. The living outer layers of the tree gradually convert inner sapwood into heartwood. During that transition, the tree pumps the heartwood full of complex organic compounds, flavonoids, and related phenolic compounds, such as dihydrorabinitin. These are not decorative molecules, they are natural fungicides. Fungi are the primary agents of wood decay. They break down lignin and cellulose, digesting wood fibers from the inside out. Most trees defend themselves only while they are alive. Once cut, their wood becomes biologically vulnerable. Black locust prepares for death in advance. Its heartwood becomes chemically fortified while the tree is still standing. By the time the tree is harvested, the inner core is already infused with compounds that inhibit fungal growth. In practical terms, that means soil fungi struggle to colonize it. Moisture can enter, but decay organisms cannot easily establish themselves. The result is a post that can remain structurally sound in direct ground contact for decades, sometimes 50, 70, even 80 years, depending on conditions. Compare that to pine. Pine sapwood is highly susceptible to fungal decay. To make it viable for outdoor use, we pressure treat it, forcing copper-based preservatives deep into the wood under industrial pressure. We artificially create what black locust manufactures naturally. Pine needs chemical armor added after harvest. Black locust grows its own. This difference is profound when discussing sustainability. Pressure-treated lumber requires industrial processing, chemical transport, and eventual disposal concerns. Black locust, when harvested locally, requires none of that. It is ready-made, durable timber. There is also a clear visual cue to this chemistry. Cut a black locust log, and you will notice a thin, pale outer sapwood and a darker olive brown to golden brown heartwood at the center. The heartwood is the treasure. The sapwood, like in many species, is less rot resistant. Traditional fence builders knew to peel the bark,
and allow the heartwood to dominate ground contact. Historically, early American settlers used black locust for foundation pins, barn timbers, and fence posts. Naval builders used it for ship components that required strength and rot resistance. Farmers relied on it because replacing posts every decade wasn't practical. It became known as one of the most decay-resistant timbers native to North America. And yet, despite all of this, it disappeared from mainstream lumber yards, not because it failed chemically, but because it failed industrially. That brings us to the uncomfortable truth about modern timber economics. If black locust is harder than oak, chemically self-preserving, fast-growing, and naturally durable, why don't we see stacks of it at major hardware stores? Because industry doesn't just value durability, it values predictability. Black locust does not grow politely. Unlike plantation pine, which can be cultivated in straight, uniform rows for mechanical harvesting, black locust has a rebellious growth habit. It twists, it forks low, it sends out lateral branches, it leans toward sunlight. Even mature trunks often contain curves and irregular grain patterns. For a farmer cutting fence posts by hand, that doesn't matter. You need round posts, not flawless boards. For a modern sawmill optimized for dimensional lumber, 2x4s, 2x6s, uniform planks, it matters enormously. Sawmills are engineered for efficiency. Straight logs feed smoothly through automated systems. Blades are calibrated for consistent density. Processing speed determines profit margins. Black locust disrupts that system in multiple ways. First, density. Its hardness increases blade wear. Tooling costs rise. Downtime increases. Second, irregular grain. Twisting fibers can cause unpredictable cuts, internal stress release, and lower yield of straight boards. Third, form. Many black locust trees simply do not produce long, straight, knot-free logs at the scale industry prefers. And then there's speed. Pine plantations can be harvested on predictable cycles. They produce uniform logs at massive scale. Transportation is streamlined. Supply chains are stable. Black locust often grows scattered in mixed stands, along fence lines, in disturbed areas. It spreads naturally rather than conforming to plantation geometry. Harvesting it requires more selective cutting and localized processing. From an industrial perspective, it is inconvenient. So the market chose pine, not because pine performs better in the ground, but because pine performs better in factories. The result? We traded a post that could last half a century for one that lasts a fraction of that time, because the shorter-lived product is easier to standardize, treat, ship, and sell. This is not conspiracy, it is economics. Industry optimizes for throughput, not permanence. There is another dimension to this story as well: aesthetics. Modern construction prioritizes straight lines and uniform boards. Black locust's natural curves and character make it more common in specialty woodworking, outdoor structures, and niche markets than in mass-produced framing lumber. Ironically, in the world of permaculture and regenerative agriculture, black locust is regaining attention, not as a commodity board, but as a multifunctional tree. It fixes nitrogen, it provides rot-resistant posts, it produces high BTU firewood, it offers durable outdoor timber without chemical treatment. But with those strengths come serious drawbacks, because this tree does not simply offer durability, it defends itself aggressively, and that defense system makes it both a fortress and, in some landscapes, a problem.
Nature rarely gives without taking something in return. Robinia pseudoacacia is one of the most durable timbers in North America, but as a living tree, it is not gentle. Start with the thorns. Young black locust trees are armed. At each leaf node, especially on juvenile growth, you'll find sharp paired spines. These aren't decorative. They are rigid, tough, and capable of puncturing skin easily. Step on a fallen branch and they can drive through thin boot soles. Run a tractor too close to a thicket and they can lodge into tires. This tree protects its young. As it matures, the thorns become less prominent on the main trunk, but suckers and new shoots remain heavily defended. And that brings us to the next issue, spread. Black locust does not politely stay where you plant it. It spreads through root suckers, underground runners that send up new stems meters away from the original trunk. Cut one tree down and several more may appear around it. Disturb the soil and it responds aggressively. In open fields and along forest edges, it can form dense clonal stands. In parts of North America and Europe, it is considered invasive. It colonizes disturbed land rapidly, shades out native species, and alters soil chemistry through nitrogen fixation. By enriching the soil with nitrogen, it can shift plant community dynamics in ecosystems adapted to low nutrient conditions. That nitrogen-fixing ability is a gift in degraded agricultural land. It can be a curse in native prairie or woodland ecosystems. And then there's toxicity. The bark, leaves, and seeds contain toxic compounds known as toxolalbins, including robin and related proteins. Ingested in sufficient quantities, they can cause serious digestive distress in livestock. Horses are particularly sensitive. Cases of poisoning have occurred when bark or wilted leaves were consumed. Burning the wood itself is generally safe once fully seasoned. It is prized firewood with high heat output, but animals should never be allowed to chew bark or fresh shoots. Black locust is, in many ways, a fortress tree. It fixes its own fertilizer. It armors its heartwood against fungi. It defends its young with thorns. It spreads underground to secure territory. It does not rely on human protection. And that independence is exactly what makes it powerful and problematic. Plant it intentionally in the wrong place, and you may spend years managing it. Ignore its toxicity around livestock, and you risk serious consequences. Underestimate its thorns, and you'll learn quickly. This is not a gentle orchard tree. It is a structural warrior.
We live in a disposable era. Deck boards are rated for a decade. Fence posts are replaced on schedule. Materials are engineered to meet cost targets, not generational timelines. Black locust comes from a different philosophy. Before chemical treatments and mass production, durability mattered because labor was expensive and time was scarce. Farmers did not want to reset fence lines every 15 years. They wanted posts that would outlast them. And black locust delivered. It grows quickly. It strengthens soil. It produces wood harder than many commercial hardwoods. It resists rot without synthetic preservatives. On paper, it looks like the ultimate sustainable timber. But sustainability is not just about material performance. It is about context. In the right place, managed carefully, black locust can be a regenerative ally. It can provide long-lasting posts without chemical treatment. It can restore degraded soils. It can produce high BTU firewood and durable outdoor structures. In the wrong place, unmanaged, it can spread aggressively and disrupt native ecosystems. It is both solution and complication. Perhaps that is why it disappeared from mainstream lumber yards, not because it failed, but because it didn't fit the industrial template. It was too hard on machines, too crooked for standardized boards, too independent for plantation geometry. Industry chose speed. Black locust chose permanence. So the next time you pass an old fence line, look closely at the posts. Find the one that hasn't softened at the base, the one that rings when struck, the one that refuses to crumble. That will be the locust, a relic of a time when we built things to last beyond ourselves. Maybe the question isn't why we stopped using it. Maybe the question is whether we're ready to start again, carefully, responsibly, and with full respect for the fact that this tree does not give its gifts,
without demanding respect in return.